Back again after a while. I think all the philosophy and everything else that I've given you is more or less everything that I've got, so we've got 7 minutes before my disc runs out, which will probably be more than enough. But, these seem to be relatively popular, so why not come back and do some more. Now, one thing I suppose I do notice is that my intuition more and more has become clearer, so that when something seems obvious to me, it isn't always obvious to everyone else. Now that's not intelligence. Intelligence is complicated. Intelligence is going over things that require great deals of knowledge and some kind of technical know-how to pick things apart and put them all together, and you don't need common sense or even intuition to do that. You just need a particularly technical brain. But common sense is a different level. It's about seeing things clearly. I think what happens is, regardless how intelligent or not intelligent people are, sometimes people are so confused and mixed up, doesn't matter how bright they are, if everything's in a fog or jumbled up, you know, you can have the most expensive stuff in the world, but if you chuck it all in a room and throw it around, it doesn't look very good, you know, you can't find it very easily. So I suppose what I'm describing is sort of clarity of thought. And hopefully, you know, I mean, these video blogs have got two different purposes depending on what I'm talking about. You know, I do try and entertain people if possible, and if I'm doing one of those I will, but otherwise it's nice to try and inform people, and you know, if I get anyone to see anything in a new way, notice things that they might have already been getting little bits and pieces of, then it would have helped. Because for instance, if you talk about dismissing your intuition, so that means, you know, something comes to you, you think, oh, that's obvious, and you think, well, how on earth did I know that? Because of course I shouldn't know that, because I've got no evidence of it. And then weeks later it turns out to be right, and you think, oh well, that was a coincidence. Now, how many times does that need to happen before you realise that there's more than just opening a book or doing a lab experiment to find out information? There is this higher information which appears to be grounded in the Akashic records, or whatever you like to call it, pool of all knowledge, which is available to all people, and always was and always will be. And some people have got, you know, like a broadband cable, a little thin copper thing only doing you 1 meg or whatever, or you've got a nice big cable doing 10 or 20 on fibre optics. So we've all got the different pipes to it, and these pipes can be unblocked and cleared and expanded almost indefinitely, I reckon, because some of the stuff that I get, you know, the more you use it, the bigger it gets. You're stretching it the whole time, like a big balloon that you can keep pumping air into, and it'll keep going. So if you spot your intuition working, don't dismiss it. If you don't believe it, write it down. Make a little list of all the things that come to you. Now, you keep doing that for a few weeks, and you'll start finding, firstly, it happens far more often than you realise, and secondly, it'll happen more frequently, because once you start looking for it, you're paying attention to it and turning it on. So that's the intuition side, and good luck with it, because if we all start using that also. Now I could do a really bad thing here, but I'm not going to. It's called there you go. That's live TV for you. I'd never cut that out, because I'll get more hits from that than anything else. God knows I'm talking about technical. I'm not going to edit this. I wouldn't even know where to start. Anyway, so there you go. That's a bit of spontaneous audience participation there. Anyway, yeah. See, that's what I mean about things being guided. Now, that could have happened at any time, right in the middle of the video, just when I've finished something. Put me completely off my tracks, but provided far more entertainment, which I was talking about a moment earlier, than anything I'll ever do that I've worked out or thought of to say. There you go. Anyway, back to business. Oh, there's a pun there. So, making myself laugh. Comedians aren't meant to do that. Back to where we were anyway, about intuition, about knowledge, that you start finding it's very difficult to communicate to people without intuition, something that you know, without being able to prove it. Now, I do come across many people where you actually go out and find the evidence, because that's only good enough. even if you're not doing a degree or something, you still have to provide most people with evidence, otherwise they'll laugh at you. Now, that isn't always the case, because the two highest things in religion and everything else are God and enlightenment, which could be described as the two things joined together. We've only got about a minute before the tape runs out, never mind. But God and enlightenment are things that nobody else knows. So if you're enlightened, nobody else can be sure of it. Only you know you're enlightened. And the same if you experience God. Nobody knows you've experienced God except you. Yet people have trusted enlightenment for thousands of years as existing, so they ought to start trusting other people's things that they get intuitively, or they can only know from their own experience to others, but at least have the chance of getting evidence for them externally afterwards. So I say, you've got evidence for something, you go and look for it, but if you haven't and somebody seems pretty sure and certain that they know something better than you do, whether or not they can provide it, you know, go by how well you know them and whether you trust them. I think, well, if they know something, maybe they do have something, and I can go and check it up myself. Now, this thing's going to peep in a minute because it'll say, oh, your DVD's run out. But until then, I'll just keep going, and we'll get rudely cut off just so I'm preparing you. Now, my intuition might tell me when it will happen, but maybe not. Now, apart from that, in my own life, I've had my first article printed in UFO Matrix magazine. Now, if anyone can get hold of it, issue 2, I'm on page 18, bit of free advertising there for myself, because why not? I had to pay for a magazine myself, so I don't get anything out of it. I didn't get paid or anything else. It's purely done for the fact that I'm able to write articles, so why not write them?